Goeiedag en hartlik welkom by Reguit met Robinson op Litnet. Ons gesprek handel oor die vredespogings in Phoenix by Durban. Dit was een van die plofpunte in verlede maand se geweld en grootskaalse plunderaksies in KwaZulu-Natal en Gauteng. Ons sit die gesprek voort in Engels. A peace committee is hard at work in Phoenix, a flashpoint in the recent violence and looting in KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng. Out of the total death toll of 337, some 1 in 10, or 36, were from Phoenix. The area was also the scene of the race-based violence in 1949 and in 1985 between residents of Indian descent and Black communities. Our guests are members of the Peace Committee, Nonku, Zungu, and Sham, Maharaj. Welcome to both of you. It's wonderful to speak to you, and it's wonderful to have both of you at the same time in the same program to illustrate that we as South Africans can work together. We are also very concerned in the rest of this country, of course, that these kind of flashpoints should not be spreading to other parts, but that it should be contained. And we welcome the fact that you are involved in that process of putting things right in that area of KwaZulu-Natal. So first, can I ask you, perhaps Sham, to give us an indication. The events of 1949 and 1985, are those the kind of events that you still think about or that is part of discussions and so on, people in that area?
Well, certainly 1949, it's not been when I wasn't born that time, so I wouldn't remember too much besides stories which get told to you by families and friends. But certainly 1985 has been something which we have been very much involved in respect of housing people, refugees, feeding them and evacuations and so on and so on. Yes, so 1985 we can talk about, but 1949 I wasn't born that time. But this time round here, you know, people would mention those things. I think this time round in 2021, it was a whole different sort of circumstances. It's been unfortunate that it has come to so-called Phoenix massacre. People have been talking about. It's become something of race. People have been talking about. It is unfortunate that that's a discussion which eventually characterized what happened in Phoenix. We have been peace-loving people for many years, since Phoenix was born in 1976, 1977, when we came to live here. And we've worked in KwaMashu, Inanda, Bombay, and we've never thought of this as being another race. It's been one community. And we've had many programs running together until now. And it's been very unfortunate. We have to now start a rebuilding process.
Nonku, and what was your experience in the whole time of leading up to the events of a month ago?
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. We did not see the looting coming in as a racial issue, but it was a simple economic transformation. That's how it started in the township area where I am, because I'm based in Zuma. So it was all about we getting back what is ours. It started with the hashtags, and the race issue. If you have to ask me time and time again, how did it come about? I don't have an answer, because it only started when everything was done, when Inanda and KwaMashu and Zuma have done with the looting within the areas, within the shops and the malls within the areas. Now they have to enter Phoenix. As Phoenix is protecting what is theirs, which is the infrastructure and the shops and the factories, because you know most of the population from Pambai and Maoti works actually in Phoenix, and that's where the economic is for them. It is in Phoenix. Unfortunately, yeah, it came wrong. It's an economical transformation that was totally unplanned. That no information was transferred to the community due to the anger of the community towards the government for neglecting them for so many years. So they felt like everything that has been built by the government belongs to them and should be destroyed. And this is how they bring back what's theirs. But going to Pambai and Maodi currently within the last few weeks, to say so, Sham with Nelson Mandela Foundation, they've never forgotten about the Nanda KwaMashu Zuma community, because before that I knew Mr. Sham from the COVID-19 when it started. So from there, he's been providing whatever that is necessary to sustain our living within the township areas. So I've been there. We had collaboration with other organizations that actually are operating within the Maud and Pambai area, who are just for peace. And it's not actually about wanting to gain momentum, but actually it's about healing, because most people date back from the 1958. It's 19 what you call this year, 1985, which I was not born yet. So I don't have enough information of exactly what was happening. So I rely on the elder person to tell me the real story, what was happening. So we're going back there now and we're rectifying whatever mistake, whatever misinformation that was transferred. And we're saying, if you don't speak out as youth, where you injured, we wouldn't know where to heal you.
Okay, Sham, did you have any indication that the violence was coming or that it was going to take place sometime?
Well, I think July of this year was when we saw the looting and the burning and those sorts of things and destruction of property. I think nobody expected it to happen in a way in which it has. Everybody expected in 1994 when there was transformation, there was a new government, everybody predicted, well, we're going to burn, and nothing happened. We were in 1994 a medical country around the world. Everybody praised us with the best constitution. And everybody lived in peace. I would agree that part of the issues has been the whole thing of the rich and the poor and the haves and the have-nots. People living in the doorstep of Phoenix in squatter camps and so on. And for years, nothing has been done about it.
But basically, what has been actually the most thing that is frustrating the youth when it comes to the South African government is the empty promises that were made to them during the 1994 election when the Black government came into power. They were able to sustain themselves and they stayed obedient and they listened. Again, the second president came, new promises came about, where else the first ones were not fulfilled. So to them, it's like a sequence that is been going on and on every time they have to vote for a new government structure, and every time they have to wait for another 5 years, of no service delivery. When I went there to Maudi, I don't ever go into Inanda, but I normally go to Ohlanga library. But then I said, let me just take a walk into these RDP houses. They no longer look like RDP houses. And I can never tell you what is the real population count, because each house, they'll tell you there's 6, and that house, when you look at it, it only accommodates like 1 person, because most are like 2-room shacks, outside toilets that is so close next to the next neighbor. Then you find fighting. There's a lot of environmental issues that are not addressed. And the question
if I can interrupt you there, Nonku, is there some kind of resentment among the Black community that you are second-class citizens as opposed to the Indian people who are living on your doorstep in different circumstances?
Okay, it's not even like being a second class. What they told me is the fact that we don't even exist within the government mappings. One, whatever development that is coming, it goes to the people of other color. They've got the best schools, they've got the parks that are being maintained, they've got the swimming pools, everything goes to them, and their budget allocation is totally different from what they're getting on this other side. And even worse, the issue of corruption amongst the government officials. So now every time you speak, whichever corner you go to, you'll find they'll give you the same challenges that the next corner did. And yes, to say you don't even have to ask, you can see, because there was this group of about 15 ladies who were wearing Department of Community Safety and Liaison t-shirts, which were green, which is a project that is due to maintain peace within the Pambai and Dinanda area, which started way before the looting. Only those who are amongst them friends got the t-shirts, and they've got the learnership. And when you're thinking and you're looking at the us that they coming to fetch them, they request to be fetched from where we had the meeting. And you look, there's people within the surrounding shacks that don't have food. They're waiting for people like Sham to send the next parcel in the next 25 days. So now, for how long is the South African youth going to be living like that? They go to tertiary institutions. They apply for NSFAS. After that, there's no job. They still have to bribe for a job. They don't have the 1,000 rand to bribe, or even worse, that 5,000 rand to bribe. So now they're asking, for how long are we going to keep on paying our way through? For how long? How long must we worry people like Sham and other organizations that are operating in a transparent way, that we don't have toiletries for the ladies, we don't have food, our kids are starving, we need medication. So it's quite exhausting to keep on saying, please, 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 please. Yet somebody knows that they need to be providing. So
Sham,
one of the...
Could I just ask Sham for the reaction to that? Do you agree that there can be some perception that the Indian community is better off than the Black community? As a result of that, you have this underlying feeling that it's developing over time.
Well, what's very true is that in terms of planning from all apartheid government, it is true the African community has been last in line. Development has been slow, job creation has been slow, and Phoenix people have been placed in this situation. It's not out of their own desire of the Indian people to come to Phoenix for a start. It was a planning which town planners and so on in those days have planned. And you would see Phoenix now being done as a kind of Indian homeland of some sort, surrounded by KwaZulu, Inanda, Bombay, and so on. So looking over the shoulders from Inanda, it's true. Phoenix have got lights, Phoenix have got road infrastructures, and so on and so on. But the point being is that it's not because of the design of the Indian community, it's design of the old government that's placed people in Phoenix.
So it's the context of the apartheid past that we still have with us, you know, people living in different settlements from different races.
Yes, and different facilities for different people, which is really unfortunate.
Well, perhaps we should start moving forward. Who took the initiative to establish a peace committee there in your area? Sham, first from you.
Yes, we've been part of many community structures and NGOs in the Phoenix area. I mean, when Phoenix was born in 1976, we've started the welfare agency, a youth center, and so on in Phoenix. And when the looting and burning started for a start, we've come together as an NGO, as a civil society movement, to look at what is it we can begin to do to help the situation. No point was going to be made by swearing and shouting and blaming everybody else, but to look at what is it can we do to save the situation and to move forward. And so that it's Phoenix Child Welfare, it's Phoenix Youth Center, it's religious organizations and other NGOs who had come together to say, look, let's form this organization and do a couple of things. Number one is this whole thing of trying to look at how best we can deal with the issue of food security, because once the burning and all happened, and Nonku will tell you, in Tuzuma, KwaZulu, and so on, all those small shops have been burnt and looted, and there was nothing. Bread was being sold at 40 rand a loaf. So we set up this committee to look at how we can deal with the issue of food security, number one. So we began to receive a whole lot of hampers from a whole lot of well-wishers, which we began to distribute, and we're happy to announce that we have distributed so far about 12,000 of these food parcels to areas surrounding of Phoenix, into Phoenix, and in other areas of the metro. And this was to deal with people who don't have, people became unemployed because their factories got burned down. So we formed this peace committee to begin to look at a whole lot of things. Number one was the food security. The second program we've begun to get is to look at schools. Now, a lot of children from the Amauti, KwaZulu area attend the Phoenix schools. In some cases, about 80% of the school learners are from KwaZulu Inanda. And after the looting and the violence, many of the children were not coming to the Phoenix schools. And the story that went around in Inanda is that don't come to Phoenix because people here will poison the children, you know, at schools. And this is what Minister Becky Kerr said 2 weeks ago in a public meeting. They were afraid. So we had to look at a school intervention program, to look at going into some of the schools here, to talk to students, just to kind of hear their feelings, and to look at how we can best work together to try and make sure we minimize people's fears and give them confidence. So the school program is ongoing, and we visited most of the schools now in Phoenix, and attendance has now risen kind of more than 100%. So everybody is back at school now.
Could I just ask Nonku can I just ask Nonku to respond to what you've been saying, Nonku? Have you personally experienced these kinds of rumors or heard about these rumors? And as a result of that, it actually heightened the resentment in the community?
Okay, these rumors are what started the racial segregation in the first place, because they would circulate on WhatsApp, they circulate on Facebook, messages, people calling that, you know, they said, I heard so and so said you cannot enter Phoenix because the Indian community is going to kill you. So as the rumors started, Sham had a few parcels for me. He said, no, come over and pick some up. I said, Sham, people are going to kill me in Phoenix. He said, no, come. There was only 2 of us in the car. It was me and the driver. We drove into Phoenix during the peak of everything. Believe you me, I'm still alive. Nobody said a word. Nobody said any swearing words. We greeted. We went to there's just by the welfare center. There's a complex where they've got shops, and then said, let's just check the atmosphere if we enter and we can be able to leave. But don't tell Sham I'm scared now. And we went to buy some chips and Coke. Yeah, we came out. The guys were really friendly. And what we saw was, well, what we monitored was the fact that they're only safeguarding what belongs to them. And what happened here, it was a communication barrier. So now, when you speak about communication barrier, it means it's more or less the same thing as one person closing one ear and only hearing what they want to hear and not what the next person is saying. I feel like in every youth or in every course that we take, there should be a little module that speaks about conflict management. Because now that's what was the failure of everything else. If people did bother to do research on their own, both sides, the Phoenix side and the Nanda side, they would have been able to say, no, I cannot be going to loot. Why? What for? As it is the situation right now, I have to go pick up medication for my mother. There's no transport. I have to pay Uber something like 150 rand to leave my house just to pick up a free medication from the clinic, and have to wait like almost a whole day from 5:30 until 3. That's the time I leave, and I pay another 150 coming back home, depending on the peak. Sometimes it goes to 180 rand. So now my living standards has risen up. But normally, before the looting, going to the clinic, it was 10 rand going and 10 rand coming back, which is just 20 rands. So now it's affecting even the lady who's selling the chips and the fruits outside of the clinic, because I cannot buy oranges and fruits and whatever from that lady because I don't have enough money. I have to think about the 300 rands that I spent 150 coming, 150 going back. No, I cannot be giving somebody else this 2 rand.
Okay, Nonku, can I interrupt you and just ask you, if you sit down there in that peace committee, do you feel safe? Do you feel okay? Is there any kind of underlying resentment that you can discern or not?
Okay, lucky enough for me, I've never worried about being safe or not. At times when you have strong leadership, when they say they are able to sustain the line of argument and they are known, if they said we're doing this, they know there's no turning back. So I sit in the peace committee within the Duzuma and Inc. area. I sit with the station commander of Duzuma police station. He's a very strong charactered man, as well as having people like Mr. Sham, and he has other colleagues that are very strong in character that will tell you red is red. So now if people know that you aligned yourself with people who can sustain the line of argument, and they can actually say, if I'm doing this, whether you like it or not, I'm transparent and this is how I'm going to do it. And all the corruption, all the people that will scare you. Yes, there are people who pass on comments on WhatsApp and saying, you traitor, or maybe we'll catch you the next meeting, or you cannot leave. But surprisingly, because when I started this peace committee, I said, I don't want to approach communities, but I want communities to approach me. So we've had a few sessions with the Guamashu youth. They're approaching me to say, please come and do the healing sessions. So That's how we're succeeding. I don't want to say I'm coming to do this, put a poster. No, they need to design a poster themselves, and they need to bring me on board. I will never say no, and we'll talk a way forward. Now that is how a healing process for me goes. Because if I keep on feeding people, this is what you must be done, this is how it should be done, and not giving them a task to complete, then you'll never know how far the mindset is.
Okay, but the question that I asked earlier, perhaps I could just repeat that and ask you,
Yes,
the atmosphere, if you sit down in that peace committee, what is it like? Do you feel that you're really coming together, that you're working together, that you have the same kind of hopes and dreams about the area that you live in?
Most definitely, because I have my peace committee is made up of people within the peace organizations such as the GBV sector as well as the CPF. They are well equipped with how to manage conflict, and as well as they are equipped on to facing the word you were wrong. And our peace committee started with Cough It Out, whereby everybody said what they did wrong, and everybody was brought into accountability. And we set the mindset of the committee first before going out to the people. That is very important, to mentor the committee itself, bring about other stakeholders, such as the local radio stations they came about. So it is bringing people like yourself, Mr. De Villiers, that will actually impose questions that are so strict that you need to ask yourself, was my mindset in the right state of mind when I went looting?
Sham, if we can ask you about the other initiatives that you have. You've mentioned the food parcels and also the question of security at schools, isn't it? That there are efforts to guarantee the safety of children at school.
Yes, no, that's underway right now. But the other program which is underway currently, and there was a meeting today at 10 o'clock, which I couldn't attend because I am preparing to get this interview with yourself going. But it's like it's like a healing. It's a prayer and healing session. Firstly, with the people who have lost their lives, their families. There's a healing process this morning here where all the families came together. There was a meeting, there were some hampers which were given, there was a prayer by all religious organizations. In the first instance, that was the program today at 10 o'clock. And moving forward there, communities would be meeting, and what we're looking at is a mass prayer day. And we're hoping that all communities will come together and take into account the protocols with COVID. There's perhaps going to be quite a few of these sessions of people coming together to look at a healing process with prayer. So that's happening currently as we speak.
So there's counseling also available for people who've been through trauma?
Yes, well, as part of the school thing, we're very happy to announce that we've been part of a discussion with the Department of Education in Pinetown here, based in Durban. And we have psychological services from Pinetown District Education Department who are available to help and to counsel. Certainly some of the families who have lost their loved ones, counseling for those people in the first instance, and then school children, secondly, who may still be scared, to look at how we can look at some intervention program at a professional level with the Department of Education. That's happening now.
Okay, Nonku, back to you again. Social cohesion is obviously one of the main aims of the Peace Committee. What do you do in terms of that on the ground?
Okay, there has been a lot of groundwork thanks to the DUT Icon Group, where we have a professor by the name of Crispin. So he takes over of all the mentorships of the social cohesion. We also have established another way whereby we maintain the peace, and we make sure that the two communities, Phoenix and the townships, will be able to meet in peace and do one thing and be successful in it. So what we've done was we telemaking a cleanup whereby we educate and we join hands. As we know, the Umgeni, a part, no, not Umgeni, Umhlanga, where there is the chemical spill. Now, there's a lot of ecosystem that has been damaged and the biodiversity is gone. So now we say, if we give the youth the topic and we see what ideas they come out with, and from there we start rebuilding their minds and making sure that these kids can sit in one class and have one main focus, which is education. Because it's not only in high school, Sham, they are going to tertiary together. So now they don't, next year, most are doing grade 12. They need to sit in DUT, maybe UCT or UJ. You know, we need to make sure that these kids are actually mentored and they're strong enough to face what happened. We cannot erase it. That's the fact of the truth of the matter, but we can face it together.
Well, can we perhaps then go to you again, Sham? And what is your view in terms of social cohesion and how you can get the communities to come closer together? Because obviously we know that the riots and all those kind of actions are the consequence or the result of deep-seated feelings, perhaps in the hearts of people, and that somehow we must try to eradicate.
Freek, there's two projects which we have already started now. You know, social cohesion has been a buzzword which has been around for a long time. There's been many conferences about this. People have been writing papers about this, but we needed action on the ground. So we've started already. 2 weeks ago, we have brought together sports people in the form of soccer. We've got people from KwaMashu, Inanda, Phoenix, KwaMashu, and Tongat together. And we've had a huge soccer tournament. We've had prizes for people. We had people playing together. We've got some photos of these things. And it was a wonderful day of looking at how people can still play sport together, notwithstanding all the dramas which happened. So that happened. And then after the meeting, we were asked, is this a once-off matter or is this going to happen? And we're now going to be making this a yearly and annual thing. And we're going to be calling it the Friendship Games. The second program we've got running, because it's Women's Month this month, we had a series of get-togethers of people from Inanda, KwaMashu, and Phoenix together celebrating Women's Month. There have been talks by professional people about GBV and those sorts of matters, and people coming together and singing and celebrating and eating together. Perhaps that's the start we all needed. So it's a program which is going to be ongoing.
And then coming back to you, Nonku, what is actually standing in the way of progress there? Is there anything in particular that worries you?
As always, it's the funding. We're just using a 0% budget, whereby we rely on donors, individual donors, to donate to keep the program running. We also have a challenge of leadership. So Sham is a leader within the Phoenix, has a community leader. So it's very different. He has a position there. For us now, we're lacking those kind of skills whereby our leadership takes the leading role. Now we have to keep on inviting them to all these talks, which is very wrong. If the leader can lead, not only in the elections, but in terms of conflict as well. So we lack a lot of leadership.
Sham, and then lastly from you, are you confident that you guys will be able to actually settle these kind of feelings that they are, and that you can move forward in a positive manner?
Well, I've said in one meeting that we are here not just because there was this riots and there has been the burning and looting. We are here for the long haul. This program of social cohesion is going to take us many months and many years to come. This issues about race is not going to get sorted out tomorrow. It's going to be a sustained program which we have started now, which we're going to run. And we're very confident with the kind of people we are talking to, like Nonku and others in KwaMashu and so on. We know we have friends, we have people there who will join in such programs, and together we will make this happen. Yeah, thank you.
Sham, and at the same time, Nonku, thank you very much for your contribution this morning. All of the best, and I wish you well, and that it will, for the sake of all of us in South Africa, that it will go well with your initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you, Freek. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nonku.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.